Hello, I'm John Sumner, the Scout Executive of Cornhusker Council, Boy Scouts of America. In a few moments, you'll be hearing from Sammy Lowry, our Camp Director for Camp Cornhusker, about the changes and provisions that are being made to the policy and procedure and program for camp this year. But before you do, I wanted to thank you for all of your patience in this process. Earlier this year, as the spread of the COVID virus moved the CDC and our state and local health departments to enact certain precautions and policies for the public good, it became apparent that we were going to have a difficult time delivering the promise of scouting in the manner that we were accustomed. At that time, the Executive Committee of the Cornhusker Council and myself made the difficult decision to postpone the opening of summer camp this year in the hope that we would be able to deliver a program at a later date without further restriction or change. We realized at that time that this change of the date would drastically alter the plans many of you had made for the summer. It soon became apparent that the health and safety risks associated with COVID-19 were not going away anytime soon. In order to do everything possible to mitigate those risks for our scouts and scouting families and still deliver a program that was in keeping with what scouts have enjoyed for generations. Outdoor adventure in a group setting, a new plan had to be enacted. The challenge in making that plan has been that our knowledge of the virus, how it spreads, the effect on those who come in contact with it, changes constantly. Our goal from day one was and is to keep our scouts safe. We now believe, after partnering with local health professionals who are experts in their field, and through the diligent work of the camp management team and our council leadership at the highest level, that we can share that plan with you today. No one likes change. However, the one thing that this situation has shown us is that change is constant and inevitable. The changes that we are needing to enact for 2020 camping programs we offer are intended to be temporary and in direct response to COVID-19 precautions mandated by our various health departments that we've worked with. We would be very short-sighted if we did not recognize that some very good policy and procedure will come out of these difficult times and will bring us one step closer to settling into a new normal, a new routine, and a new, better way to deliver on the high ideals and traditions of camp and the scouting program. Once again, I thank you for your patience. I acknowledge that the inconvenience and ask you to stay with us as we remain committed to giving our best. Thank you.
Thank you, John. The camp management team appreciates the leadership and support of the Council Executive Board and yourself during this trying time. I am Sammy Lowry, and I have the honor of being Camp Director of Camp Cornhusker 2020 around the world. We are excited to be able to bring you a summer camp experience at a time when so many things have been canceled outright during this trying time. We believe in the power of scouting and delivering the very best summer program opportunities to you. After what has become months of attending meetings of our National Outdoor Program Department and conferring with experts and leaders in the health and camping industry with the BSA and American Camping Association, we have developed a plan that will keep as much of the beloved tradition camp experience while making the provisions for the policies of social distancing and new health and safety standards in food, service, sanitation, and large group gatherings. We have already released our 10 key points of change for Camp Cornhusker 2020, and now we'll elaborate on the details. Please keep in mind that all of these policies are mitigation-based procedures aimed at keeping our scouts and leaders as safe as possible. That being said, please understand that there is not a 100% guarantee that COVID-19 virus will not enter our camp environment. However, we believe that these temporary policies will give us the best chance at keeping those at risk to a minimum. It It has been determined that our best defense against COVID-19 infection is a combination of reduced interaction and increased vigilance in sanitation and health and safety standards. Because of this, camp is going to look and feel a little different this year and cannot operate as originally outlined in our program and leaders guide that were released in late fall of 2019. The first major change is the adoption of the campsite cohort circle model of the delivery of program. Just as in the past, you will be attending camp with your troop, and we are lucky in the BSA because we already understand the concept of the cohort model because of our use of troop and patrols, or your packs and dens. Think of your troop or pack and the troops sharing the campsite for the leadership or space reasons as a closed group, circle, or cohort. Circles move together, work together, sleep together, play together, and they become a family unit for the purpose of social distancing and containment while at camp. This year, our troops or campsites groups will need to attend program areas together as opposed to our individual schedule concept we are used to. This brings us to the second and third points, schedules and meals. In order for our cohorts to avoid contact with other cohorts in camp, we are instituting a revised 3-hour block schedule for merit badge instruction, as opposed to a 1-hour rotation that we have previously used during the season. Part of the circle model this year will ensure the scheduling of merit badges through rotations, but it will also include scheduled shower times, scheduled trading post and branding times, as well as we will not be allowing bikes this year due to the fact that we want our circles to remain together. We know you will have additional questions, and so we are planning on holding a Q&A webinar on June 16, 2020 at 7 p.m. via Zoom. The link to this will be sent to your camp registration contingent contact. There's a great deal of concern about how to keep our scouts safe while in the confines of our dining hall situation. For that reason, we will be suspending the use of our dining hall in 2020. However, to keep the camp experience from becoming a tedium of constant meal prep and cleanup for the circles, the meals will be delivered prepared to the campsites along with disposable tableware. The medical pre-screening and new check-in procedures. The health and medical form, parts A, B, and C, will still be required at camp if you're able to get in. We do prefer you to have an up-to-date part C. However, if that is not possible during recent events, medical form part C, as long as it's been filled out between camp and February of 2019, will be accepted. Parts A and B of the form need to be filled out with the information that is current 1 month prior to your report to the date of camp. What this means is that you may potentially use last year camping season Part C physical, but you cannot use the entire form from last year. There will be also a system of medical check-in procedures that need to happen upon arrival, and during camp session. Full details and pre-camp questionnaire and checklist will be provided to you, your contingent contact, to make this process as simple as possible. Enhanced cleaning throughout camp. What used to be considered clean enough for camp will no longer be our standard. A rigorous schedule and protocol for cleaning and sanitizing of facilities and equipment is being implemented. Both staff and cohorts will have a part in maintaining these new standards. For this purpose, we will be disinfecting both equipment and area between block scheduling, as well as in between sessions 1 and 2 of Scouts BSA and Webelos 1 and 2. Increased hand washing and hand sanitizing stations will be mandatory throughout camp. We are in the process of adding hand washing facilities and hand sanitizing dispenser stations throughout all of our program areas. The washing of hands will be a mandatory part of our program delivery, much as the drink before you start, drink before you leave hydration policy has been used during our days in extreme heat in the past. There will be a face covering policy for staff and participant contingent of proximity and situation. When a cohort is in direct contact with staff, the cohort and the staff will implement the use of face coverings, in addition to distancing themselves as much as possible. When a cohort is engaged in meal times or other programs in their campsite, it will be the cohort's choice whether or not to implement the face coverings. There will, of course, be circumstances where face coverings will not be able to be used, for example, while engaging in swimming. Those instances will be explained to you by our staff. It is the recommendation of the American Camp Association and the BSA National Camp Accreditation Program that camp participants sleep 1 to attend. More information will follow on how this will work and other recommendations on sleeping arrangements if 1 camper per tent is not possible. Visitors camp will not be allowed in the 2020 camping season. Please understand that the limit of new personnel and participants once the cohort circles have been established for the session, it is vital to the success of the health and safety plan overall. That being said, there will be no visitation during the camp policy for Camp 2020. This affects the OA call-out night on Thursdays, as well as family coming to join the closing campfire on Fridays, or spending Friday night to transport youth back home Saturday, and that will not be allowed this year. Campers will not be allowed to leave camp and return for a ball tournament or other activities. Camp 2020 will be different, but it will still be the camp that we know and love. Adult leaders, please mark June 16th, 2020 at 7 p.m. on your calendars for a Q&A webinar. The Zoom link will be sent to your camp registration contingent contact.